Welcome to Bluegrass Brooklyn, our podcast all about the music we love, straight from the Bluegrass borough of Brooklyn, New York. Welcome to this Monday edition of Bluegrass Brooklyn. I'm your host, Mike Wilner. These Monday editions, we explore themes and artists and topics that are related to or support our favorite music. And today, we speak with Shane Hayes, who is the frontman of Socks in the Frying Pan, the famous Irish group. So this episode comes under the heading of also our favorite music. We think you're really going to enjoy this conversation. But before we do that, please remember to follow us at Bluegrass Brooklyn. Brooklyn is spelled B-K-L-Y-N. We're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Also, if you have any suggestions, comments, ideas for topics, we love to get email from our listeners. Send it to mike@bluegrassbrooklyn.com. Also, if you're looking for gems in Uptown Manhattan, Bronx, Riverdale, New Jersey, and increasingly around the country and world, check out bluegrassgemsnearme.com. Okay, so let's get to the interview. Okay, so here we are with Shane Hayes from Socks in the Frying Pan. Shane, first of all, thanks a lot for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Mike. Great to be here.
And where are you right now?
I am in Florence, Italy at the moment.
So what's a nice Irish boy doing in Florence, Italy, if I may ask?
Funny enough, all I need to say is I met a woman, and that everyone gets it.
So first thing I wanted to ask you, what's up with the name of the band?
So we have kind of a rule that we don't tell anyone. It's like this massive secret, but the last surviving member can say it as their final words on their deathbed.
So you're on the road a lot. You were mentioning a bus tour. So what exactly is a bus tour?
So when we're not on the road in the States or further afield, we try and get people back to our neck of the woods. For the last number of years, we've been doing tours with the band at home, and now I've started doing them in Italy as well, and also some in Ireland. So the idea being, say, for example, we take one bus of maybe 50 people, and you spend a week on the bus with us as your tour guide, showing you around.
Nice.
We're very, very lucky where we live in Florence, Italy. That's probably the best place in Italy. And then I'm kind of equally lucky where I'm in Ireland because we're so close to the best touristy spots. So you get all the best touristy stuff while at the same time being shown around by a local for a week of music and an adventure week, basically.
That sounds fantastic. Yeah. But why do I have the image of and now you get to carry our amplifiers and microphones. Now you get to set up our band.
It's more like now you get to see how boring we are in real life, basically, not a week of touring.
It's almost like you bring someone into your home and giving them a house tour.
All very, very close to what that is. We usually drive past the house and point it out.
Nice. So let's talk a little bit about the band. I'd be interested to know how the band came together, the musical origin story of the band.
The initial iteration of the band was myself, my brother, Fiacre, and this guy, a friend of ours, Aidan Coyne on guitar. That was about 17 years ago. I was working in a pub in this one particular summer in 2008, and the musicians that were playing that night cancelled. And the bar manager said, "Hey, you play music?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Can you get someone for tonight?" And I said, "Okay." And I called everybody on my list. Now, when I say everybody, I mean everybody, even people I didn't want to play with, but I would accept their. And then nobody was free. And at the very, very, very bottom of that list, I knew this guy played guitar. I didn't know was he any good or not, but it was Aidan. And I called him, and we ended up playing together 7 nights a week. My brother joined the band, so we played and played and played. And completely naive, just brought out a CD, which made its way to America somehow. Got a call one day from a fella saying, "Hey, I want to be your agent." I thought it was a joke, thought it was my best mate, and I told him where to go, and I hung up the phone. And he called back, fortunately, and said, "No, this really is an agent." So we ended up touring America. And fast forward 11 years from that, now the band is myself still the whole time. We've got Callum Bell and David McKinley Ward. both multi-instrumentalists.
I like the idea of like it got to the last guy on the list. in
He
hopes.
wasn't even on the list.
Let's talk a little bit about the configuration of the band, the instruments that you typically center on.
Yeah. So I'm an accordion. We've always had a guitarist and a fiddle player. The guys all play other instruments as well, but I guess the main configuration is guitar, accordion, and fiddle, and we all sing. Got the three-way harmony thing going as well.
Yes. So what kind of accordion are you playing? Button or keyboard?
Yeah, I rarely get asked that one. Nice, Mike. Nice. Yeah, it's a button accordion. And of course, button accordionists, as much as we get ragged on, we like to say that piano accordions are only good for starting fires. Yeah, it's a 2-row button accordion. It was built in France by a guy called Bertrand Gaillard.
Okay. Full disclosure, I'm quite into Cajun music.
Oh, yeah, that's the business.
While I inflict my fiddle playing on people frequently enough, I've decided that wasn't enough harm. I picked up an accordion, 1-row, 10-button.
Nice.
Having fun with it. It's a great instrument. It's a lot of fun to play.
They're great. We played the New Orleans Jazz Fest a couple of years ago. And the same weekend, we played the Lafayette International Festival. And my brother used to rag on me for playing the accordion. But we got there and he was ragging on me, and like, this is Melodian Central, you know. And he was ragging on me, and none of the crowd were laughing, and like, they were like looking at me going, accordion god. And I was thinking, well, I'm moving, fellas. I'm quitting the band.
That's right. Lafayette, Louisiana for me. Did you get to look up Marc Savoy while you were down there?
No. And I only found after. Like, this is the problem when you're not involved in other genres. You kind of just, someone says, like, did you catch this guy? You're like, who? And then you leave and you hear after, like, no.
Right. That's like saying you're a guitar player. Did you happen to look up Jimi Hendrix while you were down there? Yeah.
Have you come across Flaco Jimenez?
Me?
Yeah.
No, I have not.
Apparently a living legend. We were playing in at the Musical Instrument Museum in Phoenix years ago, and we got back to the dressing room, and I walk into the dressing room, and there's this old guy sitting there. And there's like a TV screen in the dressing room, and you can watch the concert. So he'd been watching our concert. We're tired, you know, like I see this old guy sitting there, and he goes, "Hey man, you know, very good playing." I was like, "Thanks, you lost. Do you know, can I get you a cup of coffee? You know, otherwise get out. You know, can I help with something?" So he left, and then the curator of the museum nearly kicked in the door. Where's Flaco? And I was like, what's a Flaco? I've never heard of this thing. Apparently, he was asking Flaco for one of his melodians to put in the living legend section of the museum. Like, he's museum caliber stuff. And there was me offering him coffee. Yeah.
And sought to hustle him out of your green room.
Yeah. But I take the compliment in hindsight, you know.
Well done. The music you're playing is a mix, it sounds like, of straight traditional Irish folk music and original music by you guys? How does that stack up?
Yeah, 100%. For years, people kept asking us to describe what does our sound like. After years of trying to find an answer, it's just our thing. Obviously, it's trad music, and a lot of it trad folk music, but our influences are so much further than just trad stuff. The last album we brought out, we decided we're going to do what you really almost never see, which is to write everything original, absolutely every tune, every song original. Yeah. We didn't do that for the sake of being different. We felt like we want to do that.
Does a tune come to mind from that album that would be a good example of that?
Sure. The Beetlejig Beetlejig set on the album.
Okay. So why don't we have a listen? What's the context behind that particular selection?
So my brother wrote the first tune, and I wrote the first tune. My brother wrote the second tune. We were kind of bringing the stuff to the table to decide on what's going to the album or not. He played it and he wasn't sold on it, but I could just immediately hear something different than he was hearing, even though he'd written it. we were in the studio, and it was this fairly spooky type of sound with it. We were talking about Beetlejuice, the movie, and how the sequel was coming out, and then we were talking about how great the theme for Beetlejuice was. And we just played it in the studio, and we loved all the voices going, ooh. So we decided, you know something, let's just have a bit of fun with this one, and let's do the same. So we recorded harmonies of us going, ooh, and we got the wives and girlfriends in to do it as well. So we called them the Dead Choir. So they're officially recording artists.
There you go.
And we called it Beetlejig Beetlejig Beetlejig. So we have a bit of fun with it. There's a bit of personality in the tracks.
There's a lot of personality in the music that I listen to, and even what I'll call hardcore trad music has a certain sound to it. I've listened to some, and this was, maybe it's the accordion. I'm used to listening to fiddles and guitars more, but man, it has its own sound. You were talking about writing originals. Is there like a line you try to stay on one side of in terms of respecting the traditional sound, even though it's an original composition?
Funny, I think every time I catch myself trying to stay within a line, that's when I scrap that and say, who am I trying to write for here, you know? No, not at all. Whatever comes out, comes out. And if it's good, it's good. And if it's not. And sometimes you write something and you're happy with it. And sometimes you write something and you come back and listen to it the next day and you realize that is the worst thing that has ever been written by a human.
I get a lot of that when I write songs. So
yeah, me too.
What's the songwriting process?
Well, I write most of the tunes, but we all wrote songs for the album as well. So my song contribution to the album was called Sweetest Friend. And to give you an idea where that came around, the first line of the chorus came to me when I came out of a friend's wedding about 6 years ago. It was like, oh, my lady, my sweetest friend, my partner to the very end, right? So that line came to me. And then I played with that line for 6 years and then nothing. And then I played it for my brother and he said, I like that. Can you finish that? And in an hour, I finished it. Yeah. So 6 years with one line and then 1 hour with the full song.
The creative process. I've written songs where it's just like pick up the pen and done. And it's 90% of where it's going to be. I fiddle with some words because some words just don't work in songs and some do. And then others, pardon?
Do you find when someone tells you that's pretty good, that kind of nearly takes a shackle off?
I never believe him.
Okay, yeah. My brother would shoot straight. When I sang that, he goes, that's great. And I'm like, oh, well, in that case.
Do you know what the acid test for me is? I go to a lot of jams here in Brooklyn. I've got 2 or 3 I have to choose from each night of the week. So
very, very cool.
So I'll go to a song. I said, okay, I'd like to sing Eastern State Penitentiary Blues. It's in G. It's a 1-4-1-5.
Okay.
And then the chorus is 5-1-4-1. Right. And I start singing and people, start playing and people get into it. By the second chorus, they're singing along the chorus and I'm done. And then I'll say, that's an original.
Right.
I spoke to Mike Mitchell, who's, among other things, produces and promotes songs. And I was talking to him about writing music. Right. And he said, if you got people in a jam and they're saying, play this song, one of yours, you're like probably 80% down the road.
Yeah.
You're lucky enough to have your brother to give you that kind of feedback, which is good.
That's a good acid test, though. I like that. Yeah, for the people
people like it. I guess it must be good.
Depends on the person, of course, as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like I have a friend that if I ask him, has he seen a movie? If he says it's bad, I'm going to watch it. And if he says if it's really good, I'm definitely not going to watch it. So
that's I've got a few of those too.
Yeah.
I mentioned the jams here. I'm just curious, is there much of a jam culture or do you guys get involved much with the jam culture in the Irish traditional world? Or
yeah, it's slightly different, but same idea. Like it's probably, the culture is jamming in a way in Ireland. If someone wrote down their favorite 100 tunes, I could nearly tell you what part of Ireland they're from and what town they're from because they've obviously grown up playing with a certain session. So you join a session and there could be just, say maybe on a Saturday night, there might be 3 musicians getting paid and like getting paid $60 or $70 for 2 hours and maybe a couple of pints. And then other people might join and play along with that and you learn a couple of new tunes and stuff. And that's how everyone gets started. My degree was chemistry. Like my brother's degree was Irish, the language. We never planned to do this and then just happened that way really. So it's all jamming.
Do you still get involved and go to the local jam when you get a chance?
Whenever I'm home, oftentimes what happens is either someone has a gig and they ask you to fill in. I play a lot of guitar as well. Say our bus tours are a great example. We're lucky to County Clare is the Nashville of Irish music.
Yeah.
So every day on the bus tour, we bring in a couple of new musicians. They don't have any set list. They just come in and play what pops into their head, and we'll join them.
Right.
So like you get 6 or 7 jams in the week.
I know how bluegrass jams are structured. How does it work in an Irish traditional jam?
It's funny, isn't it? That I do think they're basically the same thing, but with a different set of rules, which is so cool as well. There's usually kind of a session leader. And like, you know, this is the thing that any of your musician friends would appreciate this, that, you know, a lot of people see sessions that have 400 musicians in it and they think, wow, that's so cool. It's really not. You know, there's too many cooks in the kitchen. So if you have a session with 4 or 5 people that are all awesome. So basically, if we're going first, I'll start a tune. Sometimes you might play the first couple of notes of the 3 tunes that you pick in your head. You usually pick like 3 different tunes.
Right.
And the people will know it. If they don't know it, maybe I'll choose something else. Or maybe they'll say, no, play, and I'll pick it up. So say I play the first tune, something in E minor. You play the tune 3 times around. Yeah. And as I'm getting towards the end of the E minor one, I'm thinking, okay, what would go nice with this? And something pops into my head and I shout G. And then I shout G at the guitarist who knows, okay, going to G. And then I go into G, and probably people at the session will know the same tune. Then someone else picks a set or something, you know, and we kind of just go around. You try and include, let everyone start a set. And
I see. So you're basically giving people the opportunity to just start a song.
Yeah. And the cool thing is someone might pull a tune from like the dark recesses of their brain on the spot that you haven't heard for years.
Right.
It's like, oh God, I haven't done that for years. And you bring it, and that might end up back in your repertoire, you know, which is cool too.
Yeah, I really enjoy hearing a tune in the jam saying, oh, okay, I should go learn that one.
Yeah.
Or more often for me is I'll hear some obscure or little known type of tune and say, well, that one is simple enough to teach in a jam and got some sing along. For bluegrass jams, at least, my basic requirements are no more than 3 chords, not too many verses, 3, maybe 4 verses, because everybody wants to sing. If I decide I'm going to do the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald in full, you know, and take up 40 minutes of a 2-hour jam, that's not fair.
Yeah.
It should have a sing-along part. Do you get to jam when you're touring here in the U.S.? And are there any differences you've noted?
Yeah, sometimes, yeah. That's why I love those bluegrass jams, because there is a familiarity with it. It's like, this is different, but it's familiar. It's eating pizza from a different type of, you know, like you go to Italy, you eat pizza, you go somewhere else, you eat pizza. Yeah, we play, I mean, it's mostly Irish festivals and stuff, but we have played the Winfield, Kansas, the Walnut Valley Festival in Winfield, Kansas, which is like mecca of those genres. There's been some great names at these things over the years, and people you don't even know. I mean, Billy Strings was at that a couple of years ago, you know, and before he blew up, we got him on stage with us playing a couple of tunes. And recently I was at home and I said to a friend of mine, he showed me this guy, Billy Strings. He was like, I think we played with him. He goes, no, man. He goes, no, man, you didn't play with him. I was like, no, I'm pretty sure we did. I showed him the photo. He's like, nice. Oh, come on. Any chance we have to join any sort of bluegrass session would be great.
It's that love of the music. You know, we recently went to the big International Bluegrass Music Association, World of Bluegrass. Jason Carter and Michael Cleveland, who are friends of the show, they were there for business, obviously. They were there performing at the festival. And then my co-host, Liz, was leaving the hotel like at 2 a.m. to go catch a flight. And there was Michael Cleveland outside with a bunch of just average Joe and Jane musicians jamming.
Right. Yeah.
This just shows a love of the music, which I think it's wonderful to see people share.
Yeah. That's what I love about the Irish thing as well, that as big as the names get, you know, they're people, like, you know, you grow up listening to these people. I grew up as a kid and like, I know Bono, any of these big names that you'd hear of, I watched those on TV and I listened to their albums. But then I also had albums from like Irish musicians, and like as a kid you don't know the difference. This person is on a CD and this person is on a CD, but the difference is now the Irish people on CDs, I can just pick up the phone and send them a text now. You know, most of them are my friends, which is so cool, and took 10 years nearly to get used to that. The humanity of these people.
I did want to go back to the jam question though. What about joining any traditional Irish jams here in the US? And are there any differences you noted?
Yeah, there are. In some cases it feels like an Irish session, and in some cases it feels like some kind of a middle ground between not the music, but kind of the rule set seems nearly a bit different. It's like it's slightly more organized in America. You know what I mean? There's even more familiarity than there is at a bluegrass session, but there's something slightly different as well. It's very hard to describe it, actually. It's a great question.
Interesting. It's really sort of like listening to British broadcasters doing commentary on American football games.
Yeah.
You know, you're used to a certain cadence and a certain tone, a certain approach to describing it. I'm really happy to hear that you're still so into the jam culture. I've spoken to some musicians who say, well, I'm a professional musician and I play music all the time, so I don't really play when I'm not working, which seems like a
I've
shame.
seen that, and I think that is the saddest thing in the world. I've seen that the Irish scene as well.
Mm,
Honest answer, like when we go to Irish festivals, some of the bands are mad to just play sessions, just jam, jam, jam. It's like,
yeah,
at night time, once the crowds are gone and once we're back at the festival hotel, like they just want to jam with each other. I do find that sometimes I'm like, I've enough playing done. Even though these people are my friends and I do like jamming with them, it's like if you're jamming, you don't get a chance to talk. It's
mm,
like I'd love to also catch up. It's funny you touched this because I have been wrestling with this one myself. I find that when I go home back to Ennis, now Ennis is, as I say, like Nashville, so I'm spoiled for the talent.
right.
Like I'll play there because there are people that I catch up with all the time. But like we played the Michigan Irish Fest in Muskegon. It was a small session with some of the bands, like so only 5 or 6 people. Like you're talking about some of the best Irish musicians in the world
Right.
on tour at the top of their game. And they were kind of saying to me, "Oh, bring down the accordion, bring down." I was like, "Nah, sure, I will, I will, I will." No, like in Ireland is the only country where "I will, yeah" means absolutely not, right? So, so I was saying like, "I will, yeah, I will, I will, I will." But then I got as far as the bedroom, and the whole way up in the elevator, I was like, "Oh, Shane, what are you doing? Come on!" So
Yeah.
I ended up going back down and ended up having a great night playing.
Your better angels took over and drove you back out to play music. So I have a question that has always plagued me. The Irish traditional world, let's just talk repertoire, is a
Okay,
vast ocean. So here I
yeah,
am in my little rowboat and I want to get started, but I have no idea which end of the stick to pick up and how
yeah.
to get into that world. What would you advise me if I'm looking to get involved with the Irish traditional world?
That is a tricky one. It's such a different answer now than it was even 10 years ago.
Mm,
Like the internet has just made that so much more accessible.
mm,
I played a session here in Italy with a guy from Dublin, and this guy is a fairly good fiddle player. I could not believe the tunes that he didn't know. Like my
mm,
repertoire would have been bigger, but I was just shocked. I thought these were staples the world around,
mm.
staples. In every town and side of the country, there's going to be different absolute staples. I guess that's the whole thing of like Columbus Stockade Blues. Everyone
Mhm.
knows
Yeah.
that. That's just like it's one of the first ones to learn. Um, and the problem is that if you learn a tune in Irish music, you could be waiting for a 3 hour jam, a session like where it's played, and then in 45 seconds it has been played 3 times, and now you moved on. So you could be gone to the bathroom while you think it's being played, just listening, go, no! There's probably 20, 30 tunes that you could learn, but the best thing to do is if you were joining a jam, go and we'll go ask them if they don't mind recording it. So like just stick your phone on the table and if they're okay with it, record it.
Mm,
And then because they'll probably play a very similar repertoire again.
right.
I
They'll
mean,
learn those tunes.
yeah, exactly. There's very few people that could just play for 12 hours straight, different
Mm,
tunes.
yeah.
So like really within 2 hours, they're going to be repeating. I'd say if you went to a 2 hour jam, the following week, they're going to repeat at least 50 minutes of it.
So coming back to this structure here in the U.S., we really have two types of jams, really. One is people sitting in a circle playing, but another is where there's a mic. So it's a little bit of a performance, a little bit
Yeah.
more like a performance. I know when I go to jams like that, I'm more likely to do go-tos. There's
Okay.
two,
Yeah.
three,
Yeah.
4 songs. I have 200 or 300 songs in my repertoire at this point, but I'm
It's
not
funny,
gonna.
isn't it?
Yeah,
Just
because
that extra element, and maybe they're not even listening in the bar, but just that extra element makes you.
exactly.
Yeah,
Whereas if I go to my usual home Sunday jam, I'll say, "Oh, I heard this obscure, weird song. I know they've never heard, so I'm going to
yeah,
bring that." But I wouldn't do
yeah.
that if I was in front of a mic and
They did the same thing in Ireland. If you're mic'd up, it's a different gig. It is a
yeah,
different
yeah,
gig. Even if you're playing the same session, if you're mic'd up, there's less room for error. You can't just drop the instrument and walk away for 5 minutes. And the mic is picking up what you're saying as well, so the
yeah.
conversation has changed. It's like they've
Mm.
done that, and people don't like it in Ireland where there's a mic.
If we're talking about miking or not miking a jam, I like the putting up a mic and for the voice and for the instrument, just because in New York we're large and loud.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
jams tend to be. I mean,
yeah.
a small jam is 12, 15 people.
Wow,
Yeah.
wow.
It helps the singer, so you don't have to shout
Right.
to be heard. And if
Yeah,
you're playing a lead and you kind of like what you're doing, it's nice to have a dynamic mic at instrument level, kind of
yeah,
broadcasting that a little bit.
yeah.
I learned that sound engineering is a critical factor for performers and then by extension for the audience. How do you guys approach that? Do you gather around the mic? Do you go direct input?
On stage,
Yeah.
yeah, it is critical. I mean, you could be playing the best show of your life, and if there's a bad sound engineer, you're not hearing a thing.
Yeah.
We have traveled with the sound engineer. It depends on the gigs, depends on the venues. We've had some unbelievable sound people at venues, and we've had some unbelievably bad sound
Yeah.
engineers at venues. No, we don't do the bluegrass thing of crowding around one mic. It's cool, and we do it at times. Like we have played a couple of shows where we've brought that Edwina, the Ear Trumpet Labs mic, which
Ear
is
Trumpet Labs at the top.
Ear Trumpet Labs. First thing I noticed as soon as we came on the podcast, it's great. We have done a couple of those at our show, but it's kind of more novelty than anything else because like we do so much moving around the stage.
Yeah.
It shows as much performance as much as anything else.
Yeah.
So like we have 3 vocal mics and the guitar is direct input, the fiddle is direct input, and I have 2 clip-on mics from my accordion as well. So
Interesting.
so-
I can't tell you how many shows I've been to which have been massacred by
Yeah.
lazy sound engineering. The
Yeah,
bass is overpowering everything and all that kind of thing.
It's soul destroying when you know it's bad because we have in ears as well, and like when you know it's bad or when you can't hear yourself or when like it's soul destroying. Like it takes away from your performance.
You guys play to mics and direct input, it sounds like.
Yeah, but you know something? You're so trusting the sound engineer. Like we played a festival a couple of years ago, and I could hear nothing, like nothing at all. And I looked across at the engineer, and he obviously couldn't have cared less. I kind of gave him a sign, I can't hear anything. He just shrugged his shoulders. I'm like, great, thank you so much. But I have also been in festivals like Milwaukee Irish Festival is the biggest, biggest Irish festival. There was one time there was a sound engineer. I think the band had brought them, and he was so bad. Like there was a 7-piece band. You could only hear one instrument. I was thinking, what is the point in having 7-piece band if you can only hear one person? Anyone that's involved in rock sound engineering, they know the guitar is first and foremost.
Yeah.
But like in Irish music, it's guitar as accompaniment.
Right.
So it should be nicely balanced or slightly under the 2 or 3 or whatever main instruments. It does make a big difference.
You're going to be here in the U.S.? You're going to swing through Brooklyn? You're going to be in the New York City area, or what's the plan?
So we're in Toms River, New Jersey, and Saratoga Springs, New York.
Not Brooklyn? How is that possible?
I don't know. We've definitely done Brooklyn. We're close though. We're like New Jersey, New York, Columbia, Maryland, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Kentucky, Michigan, and Tennessee.
All right.
So
I'll have to have a word with the tour manager because we got to get
please.
you.
Well, I've got a great Christmas present next year for them. It's going to be a map of America.
That's right.
And they're American.
Yeah, I don't know how people do it. I've seen tour schedules of some of my favorite bands where they go from one part of the country, they're in upstate New York, and then somewhere in the Midwest, and back on the East Coast, and then they go to Vancouver, and then they're in Texas. Just briefly, what's life on the road touring like for you guys?
I think as we've gotten a bit older, it has changed as well. Like, for example, I think in the early years, I mean, we came out, we were 24, 25, like we thought it was going to be unreal. We thought it was going to be nonstop party, and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It was great fun. It just felt like one big holiday. And then as we've gotten older, like now it's more, I'm trying to find hotels that have fitness centers in them. If my 25-year-old self could see that, he'd be shaking his head, for shame. But in February, in the spring tour, we did 20 states and 20 days.
Oof.
And Canada. And I think it was all by car, bar one flight. So that's a lot of traveling. And there's no quick answer, sorry. In one way, it's like Groundhog Day. My fiance came with us. She had 3 weeks off in August a couple of years ago. She'll never come again. She won't. Like, none of the women ever come with us because they've done it once and that was enough. This is her only holiday from work from there. She works really hard. So the day is you wake up, you drive 4 or 5 hours, you play a show. You don't get time to see the town because you get food along the way, and then you have to get there for sound check at like 4 or 5 o'clock. You're in the venue for a while, they feed you in there, then you do the show, you have a meet and greet after, and then by the time you leave, you got to drive 2 hours that night to the middle of nowhere to take the sting of the drive off the next day. Then you get up and repeat. So all she saw was hotels and highway and back to venues. But like I just announced our tour on socials, but what I said to people was, please let us know anywhere in the area that has a good cafe, a good bakery, a good tourist site we got to see, like something that adds personality to the place that like we can go and say, hey, we've done this. So touring is tough, but if you're willing to make the most of it, it can be good too.
I got to speak with Louis Dumer from Le Vent du Nord, the Québécois
band. Great band.
What he and his guys do, and they've been together a long time as well, is they don't go out for longer than 2 or 3 weeks at a time.
Really?
Yeah, they'll go out for 2-3 weeks, then
Yeah.
they'll be home, rest 2-3 weeks, and he said that keeps it all fresh and
Yeah.
prevents that tour fatigue.
I mean, it's not an easy life. Like it's not. It you'd have to really love it to keep it going forever. I'm only going to drop the P word once, but like people ask us about politics and stuff, over
Yeah.
there, and I kind of like, but like we've met the nicest people, and like people don't talk politics to us. We just meet good people. We've only ever had good experiences over there, 99%, and good, nice places, and we make the most of it, like, and great memories and stuff. And like Americans have been so welcoming to us.
We're looking forward, despite the fact that you're not coming to Brooklyn, that we'll have to forgive for this time, but we'll be definitely following the tour. You're going back in the studio at some point?
I think once we paid for enough therapy from the last one, yeah. Eventually, I'm sure we'll get something out eventually, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone in Brooklyn who's listening is thinking they're missing us this year, they can always come on one of those tours. If they're thinking, something, that whiskey tour sounds good or that Italian tour sounds good, now's your time.
That's right. Good. An opportunity to get a little taste of the touring life and get to see Italy or Ireland. That sounds
Yeah.
like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
All right. Listen, Shane, it's really been a tremendous pleasure speaking with you. And
Same with yourself, Mike. Yeah. Totally enjoyed.
I look forward to the opportunity to come hear you play. And we'll look forward to getting you on the show again at some point.
Sounds good, buddy. Looking
right.
forward. Thanks for having me.
I hope you enjoyed listening to that interview as much as I enjoyed having the conversation with Shane. We'll be following Socks in the Frying Pan and seeing if we can get him to reveal the secret of why the band is named thusly. Okay, well, thanks again for listening. Please remember to follow us at Bluegrass Brooklyn. Brooklyn is spelled BKLYN. You can find us on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. You can visit bluegrassbrooklyn.com and send your comments or requests into mike@bluegrassbrooklyn.com. Thanks again for listening, and we look forward to seeing you around the Jam Circle.